On August 28th, 2021, AJ Wallace decided to make a TikTok, and that changed a lot for him. That sounds really interesting, but it's actually not. He just quit his job. It's a whole thing. I'll get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi. My name is Zhariyasmith, and I typically make commentary videos kind of like this one. So, if you like that, or you happen to like my gorgeous face or the bisexual lighting, you can go ahead and subscribe down below and hit the notification bell to get notified whenever I post. I post on every single Wednesday, so you know. That's the thing. Today's candle is apple pumpkin. I got it from Marshall's. It's really good. I enjoy it thoroughly. But either way, let's talk about this AJ Wallace guy. So basically, he made a post talking about how he quit his job that paid him $100,000 a year in order to pursue social media. The typical, I quit my job to pursue my happiness or whatever. But the thing about AJ, or Austin, I will say, is that he quit his job with no plan. He decided to come from Ohio and kind of stalk Logan Paul, locate him, and then try to force him to be his mentor. And Logan Paul was very right in not accepting that and being like, no, I'm not going to be your mentor, because why would you do that? If any person is bright enough to quit a job that pays them $100,000 a year, and mind you, if you guys watched my Illusion of the Embourgeoisement of the Working Class, you know $100,000 a year is something that the majority of Americans will never see in their entire lives, and homie is 22. Can you imagine? But money, more problems. Some people, you can make a lot of money, but you'll still be miserable. I get it. But quit his job, no preparation. And he said that he wanted to pursue acting, and that's why he quit his job, to get Logan Paul to be his mentor, so he could be a TikToker and he could learn how to act.
I make $100,000 a year. I'm 22. I do make $100,000. That's cool. And I want to act. I want to do these things.
Oh, so you really got what it takes.
I don't.
Then why would I
need
give
a
you a
mentor.
job?
Now, the initial thought process is that's really stupid. Why would you want to be a TikToker to do acting? Just do what any normal person would do and save up your $100,000 a year salary, set aside a little bit, and then work for a year, quit your job. You have all this money left over to pay for your rent and utilities and whatnot and groceries, and then you can go and pursue acting for 4 months or 5 months, even 6 if you save up enough, and be perfectly fine doing that. And then go to auditions, do your stuff, do your grind and your hustle, and you'll probably be casting something at that point. I thought about it and I'm like, wow, actually I'm a person who's a YouTuber and I want to do acting. That's actually my main goal, is to do acting, though I do like this a lot, and then I could do this the rest of my life. I would prefer to do acting. That's my first love, And I was like, oh, well, I started making a YouTube channel because I was like, oh, well, it's going to help me be in front of a camera and learn how to talk and not sound weird. I was on Facebook and this article popped up. It actually came out in June, but it is titled How to Use Social Media to Advance Your On-Camera Acting Career. And this is by Casey Mink, which is a cool name. Social media expert Heidi Dean was interviewed for this article, and she states that when you're creating your own content and putting it on social media, you can create content that casts you as the lead, so we can see how we might cast you in a bigger, more important role. She also goes on to say social media is not just useful for booking jobs generally, it's even more so for your on-camera career when it comes to specialties. You're on Instagram, you post you fishing, you post yourself horseback riding, juggling, what else did they say? Surfing. And that's something that a casting director could see, oh, this person also has this special skill that I didn't know that they had, and that could actually be really helpful. And casting directors do look at your social media before they cast you in a lot of things, especially if you're going to be a lead. Kind of just a racism check to make sure you're not, crazy. But this article is really interesting to me, and it got me thinking about how common it is for people on TikTok and YouTube to kind of migrate their ways into the mainstream media. Acting, singing. Is there any dancers? I don't think so. Maybe Matt Stefano. I don't know. But it's really interesting to me, and that's kind of what I talk about today. My title right now for this is TikTok Privilege ? So we'll see what I actually title this. But basically, with the whole AJ Wallace thing, my thought process is, kind of like he had the right idea, but the wrong person and the wrong place and the wrong timing. Because like you should not have to rely on other people just to like skyrocket your career. Like he's already white. You already have so much going for you. I'm kidding. But like, you know, like I'm like, it'd be one thing if, you know, he was like a minority and like LGBT. Like it'd be one thing if it was like that. But like no, he's like a white man who is slightly attractive. So like he probably would get something eventually. But this then leads me into another thing that I happened to watch during my quarantine. I watched He's All That, starring Miss Addison Rae. And Addison Rae is a TikTok influencer, social media influencer, best friends with Kourtney Kardashian, who is also in this movie that I did not know. And also Bryce Hall is in it for like 2 minutes. Crazy movie. But He's All That is a reboot of She's All That. And if you want to know my general review of the movie, I would just say that it is just as cringy as the original. Like, I don't know why people are literally hating on Addison Rae for her acting when literally she is just on par with everybody else that's on there. The movie itself, the writing itself is just the issue. Like, it's not the physical movie or the physical actors. Because, like, Madison Pettis is in it and she's an amazing actor. So, like, I don't understand. Also, Matthew Lillard. Love that man. Matthew Lillard, I will watch anything that man is in. Like, to be honest, I love him so much. But I will say it's interesting to me because Addison Rae, there was like a lot of discourse, not even just that she was cast in He's All That, She's All That, He's All That. Not even just that. It was also the fact that she signed a deal with Netflix, meaning that she is contracted to only be in Netflix shows and movies for however long her contract is. I don't know if it's a contract where it's like you have to do X amount of movies or X amount of years. It really depends on the person, the contract or whatever. But I think what people are failing to understand is that while it is nice to get a deal to like be like, oh, you're only going to be cast in, you know, Netflix movies. While that can be, you know, okay. And like, that's something that I would love to be in a Netflix movie. I want to be like one of those Netflix rom-coms, like Kissing Booth. That'd be so cool. Or like a Netflix TV show. I want to be one of the Netflix TV shows that they cancel and instead decide to make another Kissing Booth. Like I want to be like, what was the one that I liked? End of the Effing World. There was one that had the girl from It in it too that I really enjoyed that they canceled. Or like I want to be like the next Sex Education. Like I would love to be like in a Netflix show. Like Netflix shows are popping, honestly. Or like, that's not the issue. But I think that a person who's trying to be an emerging actor and doesn't want to be limited, I think that signing a deal like that is probably not the best, you know. And I saw a lot of people saying like, oh well, so and so didn't get offered a deal and this actor, you know, whatever. And I saw one person literally mention like Laura Jean from To All the Boys I Loved Before. I was like, they didn't offer her a contract, and I'm like, she was in a 3-year movie deal and she's probably gonna get a 4th one. That's a contract. That's a movie. Like, I don't understand the whole concept where it's like, oh, well, she wasn't offered this deal. Like, she literally has, like, a movie. I'm pretty sure that the movie, there's, like, a deal for, like, the specific movie, but she can also be in other things. Because that's, like, what any actor would, like, do reasonably. Like, you don't want to be, like, stuck and confined to, like, one thing, you know? So I think Addison Rae making that deal probably was a good idea. But also I think that it can be very limiting for the future, especially if, like, Addison's 20 now, so let's say this deal is for the next 4 years. That means she's not going to be able to be in any blockbusters, anything until her contract is up. So, you know, I don't know what to think about that. But overall, I think that thinking about Addison Rae, she did genuinely audition, as she stated, because someone was hating on her, I guess, and she said like, I actually auditioned for the show. She had tried so hard, and you can tell like her acting is like okay. Like, it's definitely not the most groundbreaking thing, and I'm sure that there are plenty other people that would have been good for the role, but I think that the movie would have still been cringy even if Addison wasn't in it. It would have just been a different person. Like, I don't think people understand that, like, you know. And also they cast Addison Rae and they make, what was it, 55 million people watched that movie when it came out. So clearly they casted her for a reason. Clearly, like, you know, influencers can influence just a little bit, you know. That's just, you know, my thought process on that. Overall, He's All That. Is it a bad movie? I mean, it depends on who you ask, to be honest, but I don't think it's, you know, generally horrible. But next, I want to get into the D'Amelio Show, which was another show that was a TikTok to mainstream media vibe. Out of the way, first thoughts on the D'Amelio Show. Is it really should have been called the D'Amelio Show? Like, is that just me? But I think that would have been so much better. Like, oh, the D'Amelio show instead of the D'Amelio show, because it's like the I don't like that. Either way, the D'Amelio show was a show that premiered, I believe, also when I started my quarantine, so like September 4th or 3rd, something like that. And what's interesting to me is that the show actually was pretty good. I think that generally, I think that the editing was kind of cringy, but like obviously the editing is the editing. There was like one scene where Dixie was trying to like say one word, and instead of, you know, just cutting it and making her say the word right, it was just repeatedly showing her constantly messing up. And I think it was really to show like, oh, they're real people, but like we know they're real people, they're TikTokers, you know. And also Dixie did say something that I found really interesting, where she was saying people were saying that she only got her career because of Charlie, and she was like, okay, yeah, and which is period. Like, that's how I would be if my sister got famous. I would piggyback on that so hard. Like, I wouldn't have time to think. Like, I would already be on that train, you know. And I think, you know, reality TV stars do the same thing. They immediately end their season and then they go straight into social media influencing, you know. And I think that hating on a person for wanting to diversify their income is kind of crappy, because it's like, social media is really fleeting. Not everybody is going to have, you know, what they do. The D'Amelio show really displayed, I should say, how it is really hard to be like a young kid in like the social media world. But like, we knew that, but like, you know, it's really hard to see like Dixie and Charlie like have like full-on like panic attacks like on the show. And it's like, it's really sad to see, but it's like the reality. TV, that wasn't even a thing. But I mean, when you think about Charli D'Amelio, she is like a 17-year-old girl. Like, she is doing the best. Like, I mean, she's really like any other young person going into like stardom. Like, of course there's gonna be people that are preying on her, people that want her to like work and like have no time to do anything in between, you know. And I think the show showed a really good like display of like, this is what life is. But I think it was okay. I think it just very much felt like, I feel like they could have put it on YouTube and it would have had the same, you know, effect. But, you know, overall, the D'Amelio show. Is it a bad thing that the D'Amelio family got a reality TV show? I mean, any person could have had a reality TV show. And like, before you say like, oh, the D'Amelios have no talent, what did the Kardashians do? What does Bad Girls Club do? What does Real Housewives of various locations do? Like, reality TV shows are not people who are extremely talented. Maybe Love and Hip Hop, but like, that's it. Reality TV shows are not, especially like in that format, are like not meant for people who are like, oh, they're so talented and that's why they're a reality TV show. They would just do their talents. I just don't be understanding people sometimes. But overall, D'Amelio show. Do I think that the D'Amelios deserved it? They're a famous family, so there's my answer. Whatever. Next point I want to get into is that there are many other people that have transcended from YouTube to acting on TV or acting in general, and I kind of want to highlight that because I think it's really interesting, and I do think we're going to see more people. Hopefully you guys will like look back and be like, oh wow, Zaria, you know, I watch her YouTube videos and like now she's winning an Oscar for Best Actress. I don't know, but there are many. I think like the first YouTuber to TV like vibe was Fred. I remember I used to like watch Fred on YouTube, and I used to annoy my parents so much because he would just scream. That like Annoying Orange, that was a whole vibe for me. But Fred was kind of like the first, in my opinion, at least I think, YouTuber to TV thing. I think he got like 2 movies, a TV show, a lot on Nickelodeon, and that was pretty cool. I mean, I think now Lucas Cruikshank is like still making YouTube videos, but I think it's interesting to see that like, oh, I think that was kind of like one of the first instances where people were like, oh, an influencer he wasn't really an influencer, he was just a YouTuber, but they're like, oh, well, people with an audience might be good to make something on, which is quite literally just marketing. You want people to watch your stuff, so of course you're going to want somebody who has a name. Mr. King Bach. Now, King Bach actually, he actually went to school for acting. He went to New York Film Academy, which... it's pretty cool. I almost went to that school, but it was too expensive. But he actually went to school for acting. So this is kind of like an interesting thought process, because like now, because of him being on Vine, he now is an actor like fully. Like, he was in the Babysitter movie franchise. He's in like a lot of stuff. So like, I think King Bach honestly is a perfect example of like fully integrating into mainstream media. Like, honestly, like I feel like some people, or really honestly Shawn Mendes, because people don't even remember Shawn Mendes was, you know, in MagCon. That's a real sneaky snake. But King Batch also very well integrated into acting, because he already did acting, so it's really not such a shock to me. So I think that trying to say that Addison Rae or Charli D'Amelio or even AJ Wallace, if you ever become someone, I think that trying to say that they don't deserve it, that it's not fair and all of this stuff, it's just like, any person has access to social media. Any person, you know? And I think that hating on a person who already has a career in social media and saying they don't deserve to diversify their income and they deserve to just fall off on social media and then like be homeless, I think that's kind of wrong, because it's like, you already have the audience, you already have the ability to do stuff while you're young. And I think that it's so wrong for people to literally hate on, you know, other creators for wanting to diversify their income. It's not just like, oh, well, I think that it's unfair to other actors. It's like, they're still going to go to auditions, or if they're meant to be in something, they're going to be in something. So like, that's how I feel. Like, when I start going to auditions again next year, I'm very much have the mentality of, if it's not meant for me, then it's not meant for me, and then I move on, you know. I think that the argument that, oh, you're taking a role away from someone who actually deserves it, is such an unfair argument, because like Cody Ko was in Real Bros of Simi Valley. I think the majority of the cast is like YouTubers, but it's a really good show. I love it. It's so funny. Or like even Escape the Night is like a good show, you know. I think that if a person has the ability to be able to do so, why not let them do it? And this actually leads to my closing point, my final section of the video, which is, you would do the same thing. Are you gonna sit here and tell me, if you had 100 million followers on a social media platform and you had brand deals and all of this stuff, you're saying that you wouldn't accept a reality TV show deal? Are you saying that if you were an influencer and you did get offered a role on something, you wouldn't take it? Even like Logan Paul being in that, what was show called, like The Thinning, like, you're saying that you wouldn't accept it. You're saying like, oh no, if you were an influencer right now and you're making like, you were on YouTube, you're saying that you wouldn't want to have a secure income. You're saying that you wouldn't try to venture out into other things while you have the opportunity to. If you're gonna sit here and tell me that you would do that, then you wouldn't even, like, that makes no point. That makes no sense. That's what it is, because I would do that. I want to make a podcast next year. Stay tuned for that. If you hear my cat meowing, ignore him. But you know, I'm making a podcast. If a podcast company literally reached out to me and said, hey, we will help you with your podcast, we'll give you a set, why wouldn't I take that? It's stupid to think like, oh, well, they shouldn't be allowed to get it. It's like, no, they got it for a reason. They worked hard from their own respect of being in whatever areas that they are in. Like Charli D'Amelio, she did dances. She learned how to do them. Now, granted, is it, you know, kind of unfair when you think about the amount of Black creators and people of color creators in general who get, you know, stuff stolen from them? It is very unfair. However, I think that when you have the platform and you have the opportunity, why wouldn't you take it? It's honestly kind of stupid if you didn't. And it'd be one thing if it was like, hey, if someone was like, hey, make it OnlyFans, a little bit different. But I mean, like, in general, like, if a person asked me, hey, we need a model for this Fashion Nova thing, can you do it? Sure. You know, someone's like, hey, walk down the runway at New York Fashion Week. Are you saying you would say no to walking at Fashion Week? Or even Emma Chamberlain being a Louis Vuitton ambassador, and now Charli D'Amelio. Are you saying that if you were offered the chance to get flown out to Paris to be in a Louis Vuitton show, you wouldn't do it? It's stupid. I hit my microphone. It's truly stupid. But either way, that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, because it helps small channels like mine just a little bit. And you can also subscribe to me if you've watched this far. That means you like me just a little bit. So subscribe to me. Like, why wouldn't you? Whenever I post videos, I do make a community post. So if you want to say anything on there, you can always comment on my community post. You can comment on this video. You can DM me on Twitter or on Instagram if you still feel like it, and I will try my best to answer. I do have a tendency to open messages and think I responded, but then I didn't. But I promise I will get back to you eventually. And yeah, so let me know your opinions on this. Genuinely, I want to know, do you think that it's unfair that YouTubers and TikTokers get the opportunity to be in shows, or no? My camera cut out, but I wanted to give you guys an outro. So all the things said before, but make sure to stay happy and stay healthy and stay safe. And I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.
it.